Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. Thank you for stopping by. As part of Russia's pivot towards Africa, it's hosting Afreximbank in Moscow for its annual meetings, Charlie Robertson informs us. And of course, they were the interlocutor between trying to get Zimbabwe and Russia to exploit the platinum reserves in Zimbabwe in order to try and pay back some of the loans that they've got, because Afreximbank is on the hook big time in Zimbabwe. The fight to control Africa's digital revolution, the Financial Times' David Pilling. Already this year, at least 6 governments in Africa have shut down the internet, often with the complicity of Western providers. This month in Sudan, as soldiers from a government paramilitary force went on a killing spree in the capital Khartoum, the internet went dark, preventing protesters from documenting the violence on social media. Internet penetration in Africa is still just 37% against 61% in the rest of the world. Nigeria has gone from 100,000 working fixed-line phones in the early 2000s to 170 million mobile subscribers today. Countries with heavily controlled print media, the internet becomes the only source of reliable information, as well as one of rumor and deception. In a cat-and-mouse game, Tanzania's authorities have sought to tax bloggers out of existence by imposing exorbitant fees. Uganda has put a daily tax on the use of platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and WhatsApp to curb what the government deems idle chatter. Many Chinese companies, including ZTE and Hikvision, provide the surveillance technology used by African governments to monitor or spy on their own populations. CloudWalk Technology, a Guangzhou startup, last year signed a deal with the government of Zimbabwe to provide a mass facial recognition program. Zimbabwe will send data on millions of its citizens captured by CCTV cameras to the Chinese company, which hopes to improve technology that still struggles to distinguish between black faces. Using technology as a substitute for trust creates this black box, says Ms. Nyabola, but most of us don't understand how these systems are built, so what comes out is just chaos. I asked, is Xinjiang the precursor? March 2018, I wrote, China has unveiled a digital panopticon in Xinjiang. Dissent is measured, snuffed out very quickly in China. A combination of data from video surveillance, face and license plate recognition, mobile device locations, and official records to identify targets for detention. I said Xinjiang is surely a precursor for how the CCCP will manage dissent. The actions in Xinjiang are part of the regional authorities' ongoing Strike Hard campaign. And then on the 21st of January, I was quoting Sam Farai-Monroe, who says the government can switch off the internet, but not the frustrations of millions of people. Khartoum, this is the 17th day of the military junta's internet blackout across the country. Very interesting article by ISS Africa, Protests and Riots in Sub-Saharan Africa 2007 versus 2017. Have a look at that. Interesting comments. Anocratic regimes pose the greatest challenge to stability, and horizontal inequalities are likely to continue to fuel grievances. And saying the demographic model reflects that large youth bulges with more than 40% of the adult population between 15 and 29 years are associated with a higher risk of political instability, which is a fact. And that's why I ask, demographic dividend or demographic terminator. And I refer you back to 2014 in Ouagadougou. Reuters Investigates has come up with an incredible report about how gold worth billions is smuggled out of Africa. Billions of dollars worth of gold is being smuggled out of Africa every year through the UAE and the Middle East. Customs data shows that the UAE imported $15.1 billion worth of gold from Africa in 2016, more than any other country, and up from $1.3 billion in 2006. The total weight was 446 tons. For example, DR Congo is a major gold producer, but one whose official exports amount to a fraction of its estimated production. Most is smuggled into neighboring Uganda and Rwanda. There is a lot of gold leaving Africa without being captured in our records, said Fred Mugenyi, a senior advisor on industrial development at the African Union, who set up the organization's minerals unit. UAE is cashing in on the unregulated environment in Africa. The UAE's main commodity marketplace, the Dubai Multi-Commodities Center, calls itself on its website your gateway to global trade. Trading in gold accounts for nearly 1/5 of UAE's GDP. I understand that Dubai is the destination for this gold. But since the trade is fraudulent, I have no details. Zambian president expects to find a buyer for the Vedanta unit by July. The government received expressions of interest for the unit, Konkola copper mines, from companies based in Turkey, Russia, India, Canada, and China, Lungu said. I think it's going on very well. By the end of this month, towards the midway next month, we should wrap up in terms of talking to the would-be investors. Then about taxes, he says the government would consider revisiting the taxes if mining companies prove the levels are too onerous. They are yet to do so, he said. They're always grumbling, they always grumble, but I think if they make their case, we will hear them, Lungu said. But for now, they've not made any case to warrant us reversing our position on the tax regime. We're not convinced. I've written about Zambia several years before. Congo deploys army to protect China Moly's copper mine from illegal miners. Let's see how that plays out. South African all shares up 11.05% year to date. Dollar rand in a huge snapback. Do you remember we were above 15 momentarily? We're now at around 14.20. Egyptian pound 16.70, EGX 30 up 8.41% year to date. Nigeria all share down 5.27% year to date. Ghana Stock Exchange down 4.05% year to date. Standard Chartered seeks cheap African digital growth with Didier Drogba's help. He's their digital bank ambassador on social media. 15 months later, more than 18,000 of his compatriots have signed up for digital-only accounts. Ivory Coast is just one of 60 countries where StanChart operates. The Ivorian template was followed in Uganda, where the digital bank led to an 8-fold increase in new account openings, and in Tanzania, where more new customers have signed up so far this year than in the whole of 2018. If we don't disrupt ourselves, somebody else will do it to us. Winters vowed to pursue aggressive digitization. Africa and the Middle East account for just 1/5 of StanChart's revenue, but they offer the CEO some of his best opportunities, no doubt. Kenya will open a cut flour distribution center in China in a new strategy aimed at creating a direct sales link and growing its exports to the Asian markets. This will be a game changer, as Hunan wants to be a global trading center for flours, Mr. Munya told reporters in Nairobi. Sid Verma has just asked me if Libra was M-Pesa for white people. I think that's fantastic. And I wrote about M-Pesa on the 6th of May when I said it is the jewel in Safaricom's crown. Nairobi all shares up 5.06% year to date. Top performing stocks at the NSE, Longhorn Publishers, Transcentury, Safaricom, EABL and NIC Bank, the laggards Kenya Airways, Mumias, BAT, Nation, which had a 52-week low yesterday, and DTB. Nairobi all shares up 5.06% and the NSE 20 is down 6.17%. Thank you for stopping by.